Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. If not, welcome back and thank you for supporting me. I'm Coretta. In this video, I will be showing how to create custom senior jeans with your Cricut cutting machine. Come on y'all, let's get started. For this project, I will be using purple glitter, I will be using white glitter, and I will be using black everyday iron-on easy weed, a pair of jeans, and a measuring tape. I will leave a list of these items in the description of this video. The first thing I'm going to do is measure the jeans. To measure, I am going to measure the width of the pants. And so to measure the width of the pants, I'm going to measure from seam to seam. So these pants are not like perfectly aligned. So you want to make sure you measure from the seam to the seam. Then I'm going to measure the length of the pants. So when measuring the length, I am going to measure from the back of the pants because this is the area on the front of the pants that I want the design to be in. And so I'm going to measure from the back of the pants. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my measuring tape at the bottom of the pocket. And then I'm going to measure to the top of the hem on the bottom of the pants. Once I have the measurements, I am going to create a template so that I will know how large my design should be. To create a template, I am going to select Shapes on the left toolbar. Then I'm going to select a square. And I am going to select Shapes again to close the window. Next, I am going to change the size of my square to the measurements of the jeans. You would size your square according to the measurements of your jeans. To change the size, I am going to select my square, and then on the top toolbar under size, I am going to unlock the lock proportion, and then I'm going to change the width to 5. Hit enter. And then I'm going to change the height to 26.5 and hit enter. I am going to zoom out so that you can see the entire rectangle. I want to change the color of the rectangle to a color close to the color of the jeans. This is so that when I am designing, I can get a better idea of what the design will look like on the jeans. To get the color that I wanted, I Googled medium washed jeans hex code, and Google returned the hex code for the color. So to change the color, I am going to make sure that my rectangle is selected, and then on the top toolbar next to basic cut, I am going to select the color swatch, and then I'm going to select advance, and in this text box down here, I am going to type my hex code. And then I'm going to click anywhere on the canvas to close the window. Because I need one for each pants leg, I am going to duplicate the rectangle. To duplicate, I'm going to select my rectangle, and then on the top of the layers panel on the right, I am going to select the duplicate icon. And then I'm just going to position the other one off to the side. So I have my templates. Next, I'm going to add my text. To add my text, I am going to select text on the left toolbar. when the text box opens, I am going to type senior. I am going to type in all capital letters an S. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to type the E and hit enter. N, enter. I, enter. O, enter. R. Then I'm going to click anywhere on the canvas to type the next word. I am going to add the other text to the canvas. Next, I am going to select the font that I want to use. So let me increase the size of my text. And so I'm going to select my font. To select my font, I'm just going to select Senior. Then on the top toolbar, I am going to select the font. And right now it says Cricut Sans. I'm going to select that. And the window on the left, I am going to select System, Tab. And then I'm going to search for the font Varsity Team. And I'm going to select my font. And then I'm going to click anywhere on the canvas to close it. I am going to use the Varsity Team font for the remaining text. Now that I have my text and the font selected, I am going to start sizing the text to fit on my template. So I'm going to start with Senior. So I'm going to move these over here. And I'm going to start with Senior. Right now, the senior line spacing between each letter is too wide. And I want to lessen the spacing between each letter. To change the line spacing, I am going to, let me size it up a little bit. I am going to make sure that my text is selected. And then on the left, on the top of the toolbar, I'm going to select Edit. Then under Font Tools here, I'm going to go to Line Spacing. That's right there. And I am going to change the line spacing to -2. You can type it in, or you can use the arrows here, the up and down arrows, to change the line spacing. So for this project, I'm just going to type it, and I'm going to type -2. Then I'm going to select Edit again to close the window. Now I am going to ungroup the letters so that when I size them, they do not wrap. So to do this, I am going to make sure that Senior is selected, and then on the top of the layers panel, I am going to select Ungroup, and that is the first icon. And then with everything still selected, I am going to select Group again. Now I can size the letters all together without them wrapping. Now I'm just going to size the word Senior onto the pants leg template, and I am going to make it a little bit wider. And when you're sizing it, you want to make sure that you do not size the letters too big where they're touching the seams. So the edge of my rectangles would be where the seam of the jeans are. And so I don't want my words to be larger or wider than the seam. And I don't want it to be long where it will be on top of the hem that's on the bottom of the pants. So you want to make sure that when you're sizing, you take all of those things into consideration. Once I'm satisfied with the size, I am going to add an offset. To add an offset, I am going to make sure that my text is selected, and then on the top of the toolbar to your left, I am going to select Edit. Under Edit, I'm going to go to Effects, and then I'm going to select Offset. I want the distance to be 0.25, and you can change the distance to whatever distance you want. I'm going to leave mine at 0.25, and then I'm going to select the sharp corner, and then I'm going to select uncheck well offsets. And this is just going to make my offsets individual letters. So after I do that, then I'm going to select apply. With the offset still selected, I am going to go to the top of the layers panel, and I'm going to select group. Next, I am going to change the color of the letters to the color of the vinyl that I will be using. And so to do that, I'm going to first change the color of my offset. My offset is still selected, and so I'm going to go up to the top of the toolbar. I'm going to select the color swatch, and then I'm going to select black. I'm going to click anywhere on the canvas to close that. Then to change the color of each letter, I am going to select the letter on the layers panel and then change the color. So on the layers panel, I'm going to click on, before I go to the layers panel, I'm going to click on the text that I want. And on the layers panel, I can see that text is highlighted. So I'm going to expand the group so that I can see each letter. And then for the S, I'm going to select the S, and then I'm going to change that color to purple. I'm going to select the E, and I'm going to change that color to white. And I'm just going to alternate between those two colors. For the remaining text, I am going to add an offset, size it, and position it on the template. So now I have the text design complete. I am going to add an image. I uploaded this image from Google. To add the image, I am going to select Upload on the left toolbar. I'm going to select my image, and then I'm going to select Add to Canvas on the bottom right. I am going to size and position the image where I want it at on my jeans. So I'm just going to size it down and then position it. With the design complete, I am going to hide my templates. So I'm going to hide them by going over to the right side on the layers panel, and I'm just going to use the eye icon to hide my templates. And then once I've done that, I can hit Make It on the top right. On this screen is my design on the color coordinated mats. As you can see, the letters are not attached and they will not cut the way that I have them laid out on the canvas. For this project, this is okay since I am going to be cutting out each letter individually to apply to the jeans. But what I am going to do is I'm just going to spread out the letters so that they're not so close to each other, and then I can cut them out and with a pair of scissors after the Cricut has already cut the after the Cricut cuts the vinyl. I'm just spreading them out so that they don't touch each other. Also, because I will be cutting heat transfer vinyl, I am going to turn on the mirror option. So I'm going to select the white mat, and then I'm going to toggle on the mirror button, and I'll select each mat and turn on the mirror option. Once I've turned on the mirror option, I'm going to select continue on the bottom right. On this screen, I am going to select my material settings. For the purple and white mats, I am going to select glitter iron on, and for the black mat, I'm going to select everyday iron on. To cut the heat transfer vinyl, I am going to be using the green standard grip mat. I am going to place the heat transfer vinyl on the mat with the shiny side facing down. So you want your shiny side on the mat and your matte side facing up. Now that I have my first mat loaded, I am going to cut and weed all of the letters for all of the white glitter, the purple glitter, and the black easy weed. I'll come back once I finish cutting all of the vinyl. So now I have everything cut and weeded, and I've already positioned all of the letters on the jeans how I want them positioned. What I did was I took my first letter and I positioned it right below the back pocket of the jeans, and then the bottom letter is just before the top of the hem on the pants. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to now tape down the offset onto the jeans so that when I take them over to the heat press, they don't move. So I'm just going to put some heat tape on them on each letter to make sure that they stay in place. So I have everything taped down, and I am going to go over to the heat press, and I am going to press the first layer onto the jeans. Okay, so here at the heat press, I am going to be pressing the first layer at 305 degrees for 10 seconds. I have the jean leg placed on the heat press. I also put a pressing pillow in the inside of the jeans just so that I can make sure that I get even pressure. So again, I'm going to press this first layer at 305 for 10 seconds. So now I'm going to press the bottom half again at 305 for 10 seconds. So now after I pressed it, I'm just going to remove the covering, the carrier sheet from this section here since it's still on the heat press. I'm just going to move this portion right here, and then I'm going to put the second layer onto the design. So I'm going to put down my second layer. And I just want to make sure that when I place it down, that I place it down so that it is even, the offset is even all the way around the letters. So when you place it down, you just want to make sure that you place it so that the offset is even all the way around. Try to get it as even as possible. And then I am going to use a piece of parchment paper to cover it up just in case any of the HTV is exposed and I don't mess up my heat press. So I'm going to cover it with parchment paper, and then I'm going to press the second layer at 305 for, I'm sorry, at 320 for 15 seconds. Okay, so the first part of the second layer is done. And so I'm just going to remove the carrier sheet. Oh, that is cute. Yeah, that is really cute. Okay, guys. And so now I'm just going to position the next half of the design. Okay, so I have my second part of the letters down. I'm going to cover it with parchment paper just to protect my heat press. I'm going to cover it with parchment paper, and I'm pressing this at 320 for 15 seconds. Okay, so I have the first leg already completed. What I'm going to do is I'm going to complete the second leg off camera, and I'll be back to reveal to you the final project. Okay, y'all, here is the final project. How do you think it came out? Let me know in the comments. All right, guys, that's all for now. I hope that you're able to follow along with my process. If you like this video and would like to see more, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and consider subscribing to my channel. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you can be notified every time I upload a new video. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and I will respond back. Thank you for watching, and see you in my next video.